Good morning. Welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Tuesday, May the 20th. We are here to look at the new releases that have been published this week. And on Tuesdays, we look at crime fiction and thrillers, the darker side of the mystery world. I hope you're having a good day. Quick announcements. I do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. They go for 2.5 hours. We do every Tuesday and Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons. Let us jump into crime fiction and thrillers. First up, Michael Connelly has a new one. A huge name. This is called Nightshade. Oh, he's introducing a new detective. Los Angeles County Sheriff's Detective Stillwell has been exiled to a low-key post policing rustic Catalina Island after department politics drove him off a homicide desk on the mainland. But while following up the usual drunken disorderlies and petty thefts that come with his new territory, Detective Stillwell gets a report of a body found way down at the bottom of the harbor, a Jane Doe identified at first only by a streak of purple dye in her hair. At the same time, a report of poaching on a protected reserve turns into a case fraught with violence and danger as Stillwell digs into the shady past of an island bigwig. Crossing all lines of protocol and jurisdiction, Stillwell doggedly works both cases. Though hampered by an old beef with an ex-colleague determined to thwart him at every turn, he is convinced he is the only one who can bring justice to the woman known as Nightshade. Soon, his investigation uncovers closely guarded secrets and a dark heart to this serene island that was meant to be his escape from the evils of the big city. Kelly Armstrong has a new one in her Rip Through Time series. Now, she does have some novellas and 0.5s between these, but this is book number 4. Are we sure? It says May 20th. Death at a Highland Wedding. Kim says, good morning. Good morning, Kim. Merry good morning, and everyone. Happy Tuesday. Today is the day for thrillers. Hooray! Another beautiful day in Virginia. Lucky compared to a lot of folks who had bad weather last night. Oh, yes. And Mary says, oh, I like Michael Connelly. And it looks like the start of a new series. Get in at the beginning. Death at a Highland Wedding. Kelly Armstrong. After slipping 150 years into the past, modern-day homicide detective Mallory Atkinson has embraced her new life in Victorian Scotland as housemaid Katrina Mitchell. Although it isn't what she expected, she's developed real, meaningful relationships with the people around her and has come to love her role as assistant to Undertaker Dr. Duncan Gray and Detective Hugh McCready. Mallory, Gray, and McCready are on their way to the Scottish Highlands for McCready's younger sister's wedding. McCready's and the groom's family, the Cranstons, have a complicated history, which has made the weekend quite uncomfortable. But the Cranston estate is beautiful, so Gray and Mallory decide to escape the stifling company and set off to explore the castle and surrounding wilderness. They discover that the groom, Archie Cranston, a slightly pompous and prickly man, has set up deadly traps in the woods for the endangered Scottish wildcats, and they soon come across a cat who's been caught and severely injured. Oddly, Mallory notices the cat's injuries don't match up with the intricacies of the trap. These strange, irregular, combined with the secretive and erratic behavior of the groom, put Mallory and Duncan on edge. But then one of the guests is murdered. They must work fast to uncover the murderer before another life is lost. Now, this one absolutely has my attention. In fact, I already downloaded it. It's a Kindle Unlimited, thank goodness. But you know I love anything Vatican. The Last Conclave by Glenn Cooper. When Pope John the 24th is found dead in his bed just 2 years after his election, the world braces for a new conclave. But as the cardinal electors are sealed inside the Sistine Chapel, something unthinkable happens. Hours pass, no smoke rises, no vote is announced. And when Vatican Secretary of State Elisabetta Calistino breaks protocol to open the doors, she finds the chapel empty. The cardinals have vanished without a trace. CNN religion expert Cal Donovan is on site to cover the conclave, but soon finds himself swept into a global investigation. As panic spreads and theories abound, Cal uncovers a chilling trail leading back to a centuries-old order, one that has waited in the shadows to cleanse the sins of the church with blood. Ancient secrets, ruthless power, and a final reckoning that will shake the foundations of faith. This is so up my alley. Yes, I will be reading this soon. Mary says, that should be good for sure. I love the Conclave, the film. Yes. Which was based on a book, which I have. I got it when it came out. I love everything Vatican. I just do. An Ethical Guide to Murder by Ginny Morris. Thea has a secret. She can tell how long someone has left to live just by touching them. Not only that, she can, there's a button there that doesn't work. She can transfer life from one person to another, something she finds out the hard way when her best friend Ruth suffers a fatal head injury on a night out. Desperate to save her, Thea accidentally kills the man responsible and lets his life flow directly into Ruth. That's not fair. Thea comes to understand that she has a godlike power, but how to use it quickly becomes a question of self-control. Is it really so wrong to take a little life from a bad person, say a very annoying boss, hello, and gift it to someone who's truly good? That's not yours to decide, honey. Realizing she needs to harness her newfound skills, Thea creates an ethical guide to murder. But as she embarks on her mission to punish the wicked and give the deserving more time, she finds good and bad aren't as simple as she first thought. How can she really know who deserves to live and die? And can she figure out her own rules before Ruth's borrowed time runs out? End of row one. I have so much to say, but I won't. Marguerite by the Lake by Mary Dixie Carter. Kyo. Marguerite Gray is a lifestyle icon known for her garden parties, high-end business ventures, and being the muse behind the famous Sergei Kunart painting Marguerite by the Lake. Her presence is overpowering, her taste legendary. For the last few years, Phoenix has been the gardener on the famed Rosecliff grounds, home of the Gray family, Marguerite and her husband Jeffrey. Phoenix came from humble beginnings, and now she works hard to craft the landscape that underpins Marguerite's brand. When a storm threatens the launch party for Marguerite's latest book, it's Phoenix who spots the danger to the guests and rushes to Jeffrey's side, to save him from a falling tree. Jeffrey is grateful, perhaps too grateful. Marguerite is jealous. Phoenix senses the danger of being drawn deeper into their lives, but can't resist the attention, becoming embroiled in an affair that could destroy her career. But soon after the affair begins, Marguerite falls to her death from the same high point of Rosecliff where she posed for Marguerite by the Lake. Now Phoenix has another secret, one that haunts her even as Jeffrey invites her to move into the manor with him. A secret that Detective Hannah and Marguerite's daughter, her spitting image, are circling closer and closer to. Phoenix tries to put it all behind her and find her rightful place at Rosecliff, but as every gardener knows, nothing stays buried forever. Sounds very gothic. Our Last Wild Days by Anna Bailey. Mary asks, how is our boy Keo? Haven't heard much about him lately. Hope that means all is well. Well, nope. We're going to the vet this morning. He's limping. There's something, and I've tried to take care of it for the last couple of weeks, and it's needing a vet's attention now. So he won't let me touch it. So he's going to go to the vet and get sedated, probably, because nobody will be able to touch it. If I can't touch it, nobody can touch it. So there's some kind of ouch in the middle of his paw. Thank you for asking. The Labasques aren't like other families. Living in a shack out in the swamps, they made do by hunting down alligators and other animals. To the good people of Jackknife, Louisiana, they are troublemakers and outcasts, the kind of people you wouldn't want in your community. So when Cutter LeBasque is found face down in the muddy swamp, no one seems to care, not even her two brothers. The only person who questions the official verdict of suicide is Cutter's childhood friend, Loyal May, who has just returned home to care for her mother. When she left town at 18 years old, she betrayed Cutter. Now, with a ragtag group from the local paper where she works, Loyal goes in search of answers, uncovering a web of deceit and corruption that implicates those in town. It may be too late to apologize to Cutter, but Loyal has restitution in mind. You can hear the swampy kind of music in the background of that one. The Ascent by Alison Bacola. For decades, the whereabouts of the 15, with capital letters, has been an unsolved mystery. All the members of this reclusive commune outside Philadelphia vanished 20 years ago, except for one, a 12-year-old girl found wandering alone on the side of the road. In the years since that morning, Lee Burton has tried to put the pain of her past behind her, building a new identity for herself with a doting husband and 7-month-old daughter, Lucy. But motherhood is proving a bigger challenge than she anticipated. She doesn't want to let Lucy out of her sight even for a moment. She can't return to work, she's not sleeping, and she has started spiraling into paranoia. Then a stranger shows up on her doorstep, offering answers to all of Lee's questions about her past. If Lee could only trust that this woman is who she says she is. Can Lee keep her safe, stable life, or will new revelations about the cult that went missing shatter everything? Etc. Then it was Burbage. Chris Pavone has a new one. Chicky Diaz is everyone's favorite doorman. This is called the doorman. Chicky Diaz is everyone's favorite doorman at the Bohemia, the most famous apartment house in the world, home of celebrities, financiers, and New York's cultural elite. Up in the penthouse, Emily Longworth has the perfect-looking everything, all except her husband, whom she quietly loathed, even before the recent revelations about where all the money comes from. But his wealth is immense, their prenup is ironclad, and Emily can't bring herself to leave him yet. And downstairs in 2A, Julian Sonnenberg, who has carved himself a successful niche in the art world and led a good half-century of a full and satisfying cosmopolitan life, has just received a devastating phone call that does nothing at all to alleviate his sense that, probably for better or worse, he has aged out and he's just not that useful to anyone anymore. Meanwhile, gathered in the Bohemia's bowels, the building's most entirely Black and Hispanic working-class staff is taking in the news that just a few miles uptown, a Black man has been killed by the police, leading to a demonstration, a counter-demonstration, and a long night of violence across the tinderbox city. As Chicky changes into his uniform for tonight's shift, he finds himself breaking a cardinal rule of the job. Tonight, he'll be carrying a gun, bought only hours earlier, but before he knew of the pandemonium taking over the city. Chicky knows that there's more going on in his patch of sidewalk in front of the Bohemia than anyone's aware of. Tonight in the city, enemies will clash, loyalties will be tested, secrets will be revealed, and lives will be lost. End of that row. The Last Ferry Out by Andrea Bartz. Good morning, Elena. How you doing? And Mary says, oh, I'm so sorry. Sending him thank you. Healing vibes. When our babies hurt, so do we. Hope all goes well with the vet. Thank you very much. I tried what I could, and it seemed to get better, but it's not better now. Elena, I'm happy that I got my package yesterday from Barnes & Noble for my early birthday. Oh, that sounds nice. And Mary says, good morning, Elena. Oh, a birthday coming. What fun. Indeed. When Abby sets foot on Isla Colel, she isn't sure what, if anything, she'll find. She only knows that she needs to see the place where her fiancé, Esther, died to try and make sense of the tragic accident. Awkward. The island is nothing like Abby expected. Though it was once a bustling tourist hub, a hurricane has left it a shell of its former self with only a handful of residents remaining. Even the once daily ferry to the mainland now runs every week or so. There, Abby befriends an alluring group of expats, but her sense of unease surges when one of them says he knows the truth about Esther's last days. Before he can tell her more, though, he vanishes from the island. Hours turn to days with no sign of him, and the others are chillingly cavalier about his disappearance. As her quest for the truth unearths dark secrets, shady past, and a web of lies, Abby grows more determined than ever to find out what happened to the love of her life. And the deeper she gets in the close-knit expat community, the more she suspects that one of them is Esther's killer and will do anything to keep the truth buried. But will Abby discover who it is before she becomes the island's next victim? The Safari by Jacqueline Goldis. Odelia Babel, CEO of a sustainable fashion empire, is about to marry for the second time to a man 25 years her junior. Asher Bach is the 30-something designer of Odelia's luxury clothing line, the darling of every high-fashion journalist, and madly in love with Odelia. Eager to celebrate her nuptials with her nearest and dearest, Odelia invites her adult children, her daughter-in-law, her grandchild, and her best friend/assistant to an all-expenses-paid luxury safari at Leopard's Sands in South Africa, the Babel family's favorite vacation spot. In its soil, they have deep roots and even deeper secrets. It seems like the perfect trip, but not everyone is thrilled for the happy couple. Amid game drives in the bush and bonfires beneath the desert stars, tensions among the family threaten to boil over. And then the morning after a big fight with her son Sam, and hours before the wedding, Odelia is found murdered. Sam is immediately the prime suspect, but he claims he has an ironclad alibi. He was with his twin sister Bailey. Only Bailey is nowhere to be found. As the heat roils, desperate poachers and ferocious animals lurk, and dark motives fester. It becomes clear that whoever killed Odelia isn't quite finished yet, and the rest of the Babel family is their prey. I would think if you're on a safari, there's a way to murder somebody that looks a little bit more natural, but that's just me. Hush Little Fire by Judith Newcomb Stiles. Kim says Borkio, yes. It's always something. I think it's just some kind of ouch in the middle of his paw that I don't know. When Mary Newcomb dutifully returns to Cape Cod with her 12-year-old son to celebrate Christmas with her adoptive mother Bertie, the only part of the trip she looks forward to is digging beach clay for pottery to stoke her beloved kiln. But while she's home, a suspicious fire destroys the town health clinic, and Mary becomes a leading suspect. Mary can't remember the night of the fire, too much eggnog, and as always, her mother isn't talking. Bertie has kept secrets from Mary her entire life, beginning with the truth about Mary's birth mother. When Mary discovers her adoptive father socked away a small fortune performing pre-Roe versus Wade illegal abortions in the clinic that burned to the ground, she's done with being kept in the dark. As the days tick by and pressures mount to find the arsonist, Mary digs deeper into Wellfleet's history and more secrets start to unfurl. Meanwhile, Mary's cousin Jimmy is acting strangely, and suddenly, so is her son. As the FBI zeroes in on Mary, another fire burns in the harbor. It's time for Mary and Bertie to face a long brewing reckoning. Lots of reckoning going on in these books today. The Backwater by Vicki Wakefield. When a fire in a remote trailer park community kills 9 people, including 17-year-old Sabin Kelly's mother and sister, Sabin confesses to the murders. Shortly after, she escapes custody, flees her broken hometown, and disappears into the thick forest and winding backwaters of her childhood refuge, the river. Recently let go from marriage, motherhood, and her career, journalist Rachel Wiederman has long suspected Sabin made her way to the river, and now, 12 years after the trailer park murders, she has the time and the tenacity to corner a fugitive and land the story of the year, hoping the success would allow her to stitch back together the ragged edges of her life. But Rachel's ambition lights the fuse, leading to a brutal chain of events, and the web Sabin weaves will force Rachel to question everything she believes. Tom Clancy's estate has a new one. Line of Demarcation, 13th in the Jack Ryan Jr. series. This is by M.P. Woodward. It starts with the destruction of a U.S. Coast Guard cutter and the loss of her entire crew, but the USCG Claiborne was on an innocuous mission to open a sea lane between an oil field off the coast of South America and the refineries of southern Louisiana. The destruction of the ship, tragic as it is, won't stop that mission from continuing. So who would sacrifice 22 men and women just to slow down the plan? That's the question plaguing Jack Ryan Jr. He's in Guyana to work a deal to get his company, Henley Associates, in on the ground floor of this new discovery, but Russia's Wagner Group and a pack of Venezuelan narco-terrorists have other ideas and will risk war with the United States to see them through. It's up to Jack to identify the killers before they draw a bead on him, but how can he do that when the line of demarcation between friend and foe is constantly shifting? And last one, we won't have time, but we can show it here. The Palace of Sinners and Saints by Amar Merchant. This says a small band of mercenaries must infiltrate a 12th century Middle Eastern castle turned black site prison where the life of a hero of democracy hangs in the balance. All right, that is what we have for today. Mary says, I'm going beating later this morning with friends, so we'll miss Thunder Horse Descent. It got to get to the beating board. Feel the urge to create. Oh, that's fun. Oh, have a good time. Mary says, Tom Clancy is as prolific as he was when he was alive. Absolutely. That estate, I tell you. And thanks so much. Hope all goes well with the vet. Thank you very much. And hope you all have a great day. Back at you, baby. Have a very good time. Any shows coming up? And Kim will probably have a very good lunch today if she's able to get to that. All right. Well, thank you very much. Tomorrow we'll be looking at a romance, and on Thursday will be fantasy and science fiction, but tomorrow will be love. Tonight I do have sprints at 8 p.m. Eastern. They'll go for 2.5 hours. Hope you have a very good Tuesday. Be safe. Enjoy the day. Kim says maybe no money. Oh, shoot. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a booking monster. Nom, nom, nom. Have a good day and God bless. Kim also says have a great day, y'all.